Hey guys, Redneck Mini 14 here. Today I want to talk about a topic that I saw a pretty heated debate in the comment section of another video recently, and that is that some people believe that revolvers are an obsolete firearm choice in today's world compared to a semi-automatic pistol. And I just want to say that I really disagree with that. In my opinion, the word obsolete is just kind of being thrown around a lot today, and people don't really understand what it means, or at least, my take on the word obsolete is that it's something that is either non-existent in today's world or it's almost non-existent in today's world. So, for instance, the 22 long is pretty much non-existent, so it's obsolete. I mean, very few companies actually chamber or make ammo in 22 long because everybody's making guns in 22 long rifle, and so nobody's really looking for a 22 long, and so nobody's, that's pretty much an obsolete round. So the same could be said for like 38 Smith & Wesson or any number of really old calibers that they haven't made guns for in the last 50 plus years. Those are obsolete calibers. But I really don't know that there's like a true obsolete type of firearm in today's world. But a lot of people will tell you that revolvers are obsolete, and the person who was making the claim basically said that semi-automatics outperform revolvers in every single category, and so therefore the revolver is an obsolete firearm, and I would definitely have to disagree with that. I would say there's plenty of reasons why somebody would want a revolver. First and foremost, a lot of people only really consider like self-defense or home defense like the only reasons why you would ever want to buy a firearm in the first place. And that's a whole topic for a whole nother video. But when it comes to self-defense firearms, let's take, for example, this Car K9. Now, I don't have very many subcompact pistols or compact pistols, but this, in my opinion, is a pistol that I own that would be a good choice for a concealed carry semi-automatic pistol. It's pretty basic. It's got a 7+1 capacity, and it's very, like most pistols, it's very slab-sided compared to a revolver. And because most semi-automatic pistols are very slab-sided, and you can kind of tell by all of my choices here compared to a revolver, it seems like a semi-automatic pistol will print more under your clothing. It's just this big, slab-sided object, under your clothes. Whereas something like this Ruger SP101 in 357 Magnum, this has a lot of curves, and it's very, it bulges more, I guess you'd say. And so it kind of conforms to the shape of your body a little more. It's a little less obvious when something is more rounded and just bulging than it is like a slab-sided pistol like that. So in my opinion, revolvers, or at least like smaller revolvers like this, they're a little more concealable under the clothing. Now, is that a big deal? I don't know, probably not. But the other consideration when it comes to self-defense is that you can get revolvers in much more powerful calibers than you can semi-autos. So this is a 357 Magnum, and it takes 5 shots versus that 9mm over there that takes 7 shots. So a lot of people would say, I would rather have 5 shots of 357 Magnum over 7 shots of 9mm. Now, some people will say, well, with a semi-automatic, you can always reload, and you can reload faster than with a revolver. And yes, that is true. But some people can train themselves to reload a revolver pretty fast. But you could always just slap in a new magazine with a semi-automatic pistol. But then people would also argue that you really don't use more than like 3 rounds in a typical self-defense situation anyway. So do you really need those extra 7 rounds or 5 rounds in the revolver? I don't know. That's all up for debate. But I would say, it's really kind of a toss-up. So you can either have a really powerful gun or you can have a gun with a little more capacity but a little less powerful gun. Now, to add to that, typically speaking, a revolver is going to be a more reliable firearm than a semi-automatic pistol, and that is mostly due to the magazine. So like I said before, you could have semi-automatic pistol and you can have an extra magazine, but that magazine is also the weak point in a semi-automatic pistol. So a lot of times you could have a weak spring, or the feed lips might not be perfect, the rounds might not be loaded in the correct geometry, which that's something that's typically a problem with like 22s, not so much 9mm, but I've seen it happen. I've seen magazines be the cause of a lot of failures. Now, that's not to say that a revolver can't fail, because it absolutely can, and that mostly has to do with like timing issues, or things come loose or whatever. So obviously you want to test out your guns, no matter if it's a revolver or a semi-auto. You want to test them out periodically, make sure everything's good, make sure everything's cleaned, and there's no lint or anything in there. But generally speaking, in my opinion, I think that a revolver is a more reliable firearm. But a lot of people will tell you that they can't jam. They absolutely can. So don't let people say that they can't. But that's just another point. And so that's, self-defense. So that's one reason why somebody might want a gun. Another reason why somebody might want a gun is competition shooting, or just having fun. And a lot of people go to competitions to have fun. So we're going to talk about competitions. Now, I don't really have a semi-automatic pistol that would be good for any type of competition. So we're just going to show off this really beautiful Smith & Wesson 5906. Good pistol, 15-round magazine, and 15 rounds is usually plenty for competition. Of course, they do make higher capacity guns these days with, they take up to like 19 rounds of 9mm, I guess. And they got longer slides and everything, really fancy decked out pistols. I just don't have anything like that, but a lot of people will buy semi-automatic pistols for competition. But there are other kinds of shooting competitions, like cowboy action shooting. And so for a cowboy action match, you would use something like this Ruger Vaquero single action revolver. You just can't do that with a semi-automatic pistol. Now, I have heard of like modern cowboy action shooting, or something. I don't really know what they call it, but there's like some type of cowboy-ish action shooting competition where you can use like a 1911 pistol. I don't really know how popular or how common that is, but I have read about it online. But typically speaking, you're going to be using a Colt single action army style revolver like this, or I guess you could use like Schofield type revolvers as well. But those are all, they're all going to be some type of single action revolver. So so you can't do that with a semi-automatic pistol. And just the same as you can't really use a single action revolver for like 3-gun competitions or anything like that, because they would really slow you down and you would lose every single time. But anyway, that's just another reason why somebody might want a revolver. The third reason why I think somebody would want a revolver is for hunting, and this, in my opinion, is where revolvers really, really shine. And that's because of two reasons. One, just like I said with the, concealed carry up there, you can pretty much always get a revolver in a more powerful round, and it works the same with bigger revolvers for hunting. You can pretty much always get a more powerful round in a revolver than you can in a semi-automatic pistol. So my example of that is a Ruger Blackhawk in 41 Magnum. Now, 41 Magnum is not a super common round, but it is still a really good round. But most people would probably go with a 44 Magnum. But 41 Magnum or 44 Magnum, they're just way more powerful than the other round that people would typically think of when it comes to hunting and semi-automatics, being the 10 millimeter. Now, I don't have a 10 millimeter. This is a Glock 22 and 40 Smith & Wesson. This is probably the most powerful semi-auto that I have in my collection right now, but just pretend that it's a 10 millimeter. So 10 millimeter is more along the lines of a 357 Magnum, like the SP101 here. And you can get really, really powerful 10 millimeter ammo, but you're just going to meet the bottom of the scale in terms of power. The bottom of that for the 41 Magnum. So I've seen people say, "Oh, you can get a Glock 20 and put really powerful 10 millimeter in there. You can get up to 44 Magnum or 41 Magnum," and that's really just not true. Yeah, you can get really powerful 10 millimeter ammo. Shoot hard cast lead bullets, really powerful 220 grain ammo, and that's a really powerful round, but it's still not going to be as powerful as what you can get with a 41 or a 44 Magnum or bigger. Go up to like 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. Now, I'm not a fan of 500 Magnum. I think that's a little overkill, but obviously 500 Magnum is way more powerful than 10 millimeter. And people would say, "Oh, well, you can get the Desert Eagle and the 50 AE, or a 44 Magnum or a 357 Magnum, and that's going to be a lot more powerful than a 10 millimeter." And obviously, you're right, but the Desert Eagle is not a very reliable gun as far as I'm concerned. And a Glock or any of these other pistols are going to be way more reliable than a Desert Eagle, and obviously the revolvers are going to be way more reliable than a Desert Eagle. And even with your 50 AE, I think the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum is still a more powerful round. So that's that. The other reason why you'd want to go with a revolver over a semi-auto is you can get revolvers in pretty long barrel lengths. Now, this particular Blackhawk is a 6.5-inch barrel, so that's considerably more than like your 4-inch barrel Glock or 4.2, whatever the barrel length is on that Glock over there, or even a 5-inch barrel 1911, or even a 6-inch barrel 1911 they make in 10 millimeter. So this is 6.5 inches, but you can get Ruger Super Blackhawks in 7.5-inch barrels, and I think even 10 or 10.5-inch barrels in 44 Magnum. So you get a much longer barrel, so you get a much longer sight radius, and it's going to be more accurate. You get much more precision shots, especially with a single action mechanism like that. You can get a really, really accurate, really powerful 44 Magnum or 454 Casull, any of those big caliber revolvers. And that's just a much better option for hunting, whether you're hunting deer, you're hunting bear, whatever you're hunting. A revolver, just in all aspects, is just a much better choice than a semi-automatic pistol. So for those reasons, I would say that revolvers are not obsolete. Are they as popular as they once were? No. Are they as good of an option in certain categories as a semi-automatic pistol? No, but they're not obsolete. So all these people saying that they are obsolete, they just don't know what they're talking about. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
Hey, before I go, I just thought I'd remind everybody that I do have a second channel called Redneck Off the Range. Over there, I post most of my non-gun related content, so whether it's a video on my new tractor, my power tools, my projects that I'm working on, maybe wild game recipes, or just a random vlog, I post all of this kind of content over on my secondary channel. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go check it out, Redneck Off the Range. But that's all for this video, so subscribe to my channel, like me on Facebook. I'm Redneck Mini 14, and until next time, be safe.